There are certain things within a hobby that kind of divides the fan base. So if you're a gamer and if you've played The Last of Us 2, you either love that game or you absolutely hate it. I think this shoe, initially at least, when people saw images of the shoe, I saw pretty polar opposite reactions. There were some people that really hated how it looked, and some people that just really liked something different. I definitely fell into the latter camp. I thought it was a nice, good looking shoe. It's not my favorite, but I liked it. But I could see how some people would have been turned off. I think as time went on and more information and the story of the shoe kind of came out, people saw more images. I think general opinion kind of swayed very favorable to this shoe, or people convinced themselves they had to like it because it does feature a Jordan Brand collaborator that's made some absolute grails in the past. Whatever the case may be, doesn't matter. I just really appreciate when a brand kind of goes out their way to make something different, takes a swing, takes a chance. And I think this shoe, in hand, it definitely hit. Union LA, Bephies Beauty Supply, Air Jordan 1. The official release date for the shoe is August 26th for $200 in the United States, and it is $20 more expensive than a usual Jordan 1. And this shoe is to celebrate the summer of '96. That's when the owner of Union LA, Chris Gibbs, met his now wife Beth Gibbs, who owns Bephies Beauty Supply. So this is a three-way collaboration to celebrate that summer. And the colors on the shoe, it is a very good summer shoe. Now this shoe is one of two Jordan 1s as part of this drop. The other one is that Elevate Jordan 1. And also on August 26th is the Jordan 4 Frozen Moments. So it's a big day. And I'm going to have a review of that very, very soon. But this shoe, I think overall, it's going to sell out very quickly. And the upper sole of the shoe, obviously a lot going on. But the base layer is this very nice leather, especially for a Jordan 1. Comes with that tumbled leather, super soft. Look how I press down, you can see the creasing and the grain of really nice leather, and you can see that throughout. The leather is pretty consistent throughout the entire upper sole. Now where they did kind of cheap out is with the swoosh as well as the ankle collar. It comes in this gray suede, a very light gray, and the suede, especially the ankle collar, feels very synthetic. However, it's not the worst because it's in such little amounts. They've done that for other Jordan shoes, like off the top of my head, some Jordan 3s around the ankle collar, they use like cheaper nubuck if it's nubuck, cheaper suede if it's suede. The suede on the swoosh feels a little bit nicer, almost feels kind of like nubuck, but at such small amounts, it's not really a huge deal. And of course you get that woven material right through the upper sole. And of course that's not the first time we've seen that on a Nike shoe. We've also seen that on the Nike Footscapes. And according to Nike.com, the woven details is to renew the vows of the couple. And I think that's pretty creative. Every time, because I'm so cynical, every time things like this happen, I'm like, did they decide on the woven part first and then try to fit a story into it? Or did they actually just choose this woven design because they wanted to tell that specific story? I don't know. Whatever it is, I think it works pretty well. And I'll have more to say on sizing later, but because it's using that woven material, I'm not sure if it's just my mind playing games with me, but I do feel like it's maybe a little bit stiffer, or it might just require more break-in time than a usual Jordan 1. But again, it's not a significant difference where I would change the sizing of this shoe in particular. And of course you see that Union LA tag that exists on other Jordan 1 Union LA shoes. And this D-Boss Wings logo is in this neutral gray color. I love how subtle and like almost non-existent it is. You almost can't see it. And right under the ankle collar you see that teal stitching all the way around. And then it meets at the booty of the shoe where it says BBS. It stands for Bephies Beauty Supply, and I like that teal color. I think it's a good summertime shoe. It's a good summertime color. It looks pretty nice. It gives the shoe a bit of a pop. And you also see that teal color on the insole of the shoe. So it's a very generic insole. It says Nike Air. And speaking of the insoles, this is a pretty flat feeling shoe, just like other Jordan 1s. Cushioning, not really there. It's pretty close to the ground. I know some people prefer that. I actually prefer that over like super soft shoes because I have bad knees and back, but the Jordan 1 in terms of cushioning, it's just not the best. And you also see that teal stitching on the middle of the tongue. So not often you see like extra stitching on the tongue itself. Speaking of the tongue, probably one of my least favorite things about this shoe is that it's an exposed tongue. So you see that foam on the top of the tongue. Don't really love that. I hate these exposed foams. I just don't like it. And then of course, like a standard Jordan 1, it says Nike Air on the tag on the tip of the tongue, and that very light gray color. And that light gray color, you can actually see that on the laces. Now, the default laces that come with the shoe, it's pretty unique. So for the majority of the laces here, 90% of it, it's this white or off-white. However, at the very top, it starts to change into gray. So it's like a two-tone set of laces. It's pretty subtle and it kind of blends into the rest of the ankle collar. But I like how they did that. One thing I don't like about the laces is the default laces are like super thin. It just feels like there's some coating over it, like this shiny coating, and when you touch it, it feels almost like plastic laces. So it's very smooth. So when you tie your laces, it actually feels like it's too loose. Like the laces start to loosen itself because it's too smooth. There's not enough friction to keep the laces in check. So I don't really love that, but I know a lot of people wear their laces super loose anyway, and they prefer that. Personally, I don't really do that, and I just don't like the texture of these laces. One good thing though is that this shoe does come with extra laces. It comes in that yellow mustard color, and those laces, the texture of those, it feels much more like a general set of laces, and I don't mind that color. But if I had to choose one, I think I'm going to stick with the default laces, despite me not loving that texture. I think it just fits in with the rest of the shoe much better, and something about that two-tone kind of look, especially on this shoe, I really like it. And just like other Jordan 1s, this shoe comes with a rubber cup sole with a Nike Air unit on the heel. And the midsole of this shoe is in the sail muslin color. It's going for that pre-aged aesthetic. It's going back to summer of '96. So I think the pre-aged look on this shoe kind of makes sense. Generally, I don't love like sail or muslin midsoles. I think it's overdone. But for this shoe, I think it kind of makes sense. And then like other Jordan 1s, that iconic rubber outsole. And the box of the shoe, it says summer '96. Obviously, that is the theme and story behind this shoe, and it also features the logos of the 3 collaborators. In the backdrop, this building with the hoop, and on the inside of the shoe, more storytelling. The paper features that building. Not quite sure what that building refers to. Might be actually where they met or lived in 1996. Couldn't really find a solid answer on that. And then on the inside of the lid, you see the 3 logos again of the 3 collaborators on the shoe. Now moving on to size and comfort, I'm a size 9.5 true to size. I do have wide feet, and for Jordan 1s, I usually just stick true to size. For this shoe, I stuck true to size, and I think it fits pretty well. It fits like other Jordan 1s. There's a minor kind of difference, I feel like. I don't know if it's my mind playing games on me, just because I noticed that woven material, it's slightly constructed differently. But I do feel like it's a little bit more stiff than like a Jordan 1, especially right out the box. I haven't had a chance to wear this for like days or anything and really break it in, but I think initially it is a little bit more stiffer than other Jordan 1s. And I think because of the woven material, there's maybe less give, maybe less flexibility, so maybe that affects it. But overall, it's not a huge change. One thing I definitely notice is when I'm putting my feet into this shoe, there's not a lot of give like around the ankle collar area. I really feel like I was stuffing my feet in. Even when I loosen up the laces, I really felt like I was just forcing it in. It wasn't the greatest, but once it was in there, it felt like other Jordan 1s, except for that initial kind of stiffness that I alluded to earlier. So if you do have wide feet, or if you don't have wide feet, I still recommend just sticking true to size for this shoe. Now, one thing I always loved about the Jordan 1s in terms of comfort is that the ankle collar, always very well padded. It's super soft, and this ankle collar on this shoe, it's pretty standard. Nothing too different about this one, and it feels nice. Doesn't create a lot of friction around your ankles that'll really dig in. However, because of that exposed foam tongue, I don't really love how that feels like on my leg. I would wear the shoe with pants or just longer socks, but if this came into contact with my skin, I just don't really love how that feels. And that brings the total sole score to 20 out of 25, a high score compared to other collaborations. Colorway wise, I think this is a very nice colorway. A predominantly white sneaker with hints of teal that really brings out that summer vibe. Really gives the shoe a pop, as well as bits of gray. I think it just fits really well together, so I think it totally works. The colors on the shoe, I'm a big fan of. It's muted, it's subtle. The material obviously makes a bold statement, but in terms of colors, I really like it. Now in terms of materials, I think it's super nice, especially for a Jordan 1. Begs the question, why can't they just give us this kind of leather for every Jordan 1, but that's another story. I think the leather is super nice on the shoe. I think this woven kind of material, don't really know how to judge it. Feels nice. I don't really have much to compare this with. The one kind of glaring weakness or glaring flaw in terms of materials, I think it's that synthetic suede around the ankle collar. Just don't really love that, but at such small amounts, it's not a huge deal breaker. In terms of comfort, it is a Jordan 1. It's not the most comfortable shoe, especially when it comes to the cushioning. Very, very flat, and I also do think it's slightly stiffer out of the box than a regular Jordan 1. I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm gonna break this shoe in. I think it will loosen up over time. In terms of versatility, some people definitely don't love the look of the shoe. They think it's too loud, too different, too unique. For me, myself, I think the silhouette, obviously, of the Jordan 1, very versatile. It's timeless, it's classic. But I think even with the woven materials, it's pretty versatile. And I think that's because the colorway, with predominantly white and this very kind of neutral, muted gray, I think it's still a versatile shoe. I can see myself wearing this, not just for summer, just all year round. I love the way this shoe looks. I think it's super easy to wear. In terms of storytelling, I think it's pretty outstanding from the box of the shoe, as well as the different references to Union LA, as well as Bephies Beauty Supply. And if the woven story is true, if they actually considered that representing them renewing their vows, I think that's pretty cool storytelling. And with special collaborations and releases, I think storytelling is a big factor. I really appreciate when they put some extra thought and detail into telling the story. There are shoes, even though you really like, you can definitely see valid reasons why people don't like it. I think this woven material, to some, it's automatically a deal breaker. And that's what's fun about sneakers. A shoe that you would bend over backwards for is the same shoe that you couldn't pay someone to wear it. So that's it. Thanks for watching Sole Inclined. Let me know what you think of the Union LA Bephies Beauty Supply Air Jordan 1. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.